We've got a real treat for you today as our Lake Superior Railroad Museum's video tours continue here at the closed St. Louis County Depot in downtown Duluth. You are going to be among the very first to see an important piece of equipment from the North Shore Scenic Railroad in the collection of the museum that hasn't been on property for over 6 months. In the meantime, thank you for all the feedback we've been getting on these series. You know, we have over 4 hours of content posted online for you to binge watch. And all you have to do is go to duluthtrains.com/video tours, and there you'll find all of our segments in order. Today, we're going to take you on board the 700. It's a GP30 built in 1963. And as I say, it hasn't been on property now for about a half a year. We had some problems with it, and it needed to go away to be fixed. Here you see the engine coming back on property after picking it up at Rice's Point Yard from the BNSF. The BNSF was generous enough to donate the move of the engine back to here at the museum from ILS in Bethel, Minnesota. And that's all part of the repair job. Here it's paired, by the way, with the NP245, and don't they look great together? 2 wonderful engines. Both of them, by the way, are second generation diesels. These are the second tier diesels. These were the ones that really put the diesel electric on the map. This GP30, the number 700, was built in 1963 by EMD, the Electromotive division of General Motors. And because it was a second generation diesel, EMD wanted it to look special. So they went to their parent company, General Motors, and to the Automotive Styling Center, which is where they came up with all the wild ideas for the fins on the cars back in the 50s. All those decisions were made at the Automotive Styling Center. And they designed this one as if it were a car. They wanted it to look sleek and modern and brand new. And that's why it's got this hump that you see and this very distinctive cab. Well, the Soo Line was an early purchaser of these 2,250 horsepower engines, and they used it on their main line for many years. The GP30, though, cost $4 million, brand new. Soo Line was, how do we say this? They were a parsimonious company, which meant they were cheap asses. And $4 million wasn't really in their budget. So what they did was they scrapped a couple of old Elcos of those first generation diesels and sent the trucks, the wheels, and the electric traction motors to EMD to put under the body, motor, and cab of the GP30. So it's a hybrid. Soo Line was the only one to do this, so these 30 that they bought of the GP30 are very, very unique. They also weren't very good. The problem was they shouldn't have skimped on the motors and the wheels because those old wheel sets gave them nothing but trouble, especially in the winter in deep snow. And if you look where the Soo Line went, there was a lot of deep snow in the winter. As I said, these were second generation diesels. They replaced units like the F unit on the Soo Line. And they were much more powerful. They were newer in design. They were bidirectional, which means that in the F unit, always had to be facing forward so the engineer could see where he was going. Here, of course, the engine could go in either direction with plenty of visibility, although the forward nose was easily the best visibility, but not the only one available to the engineer. And that was a big plus. What wasn't a plus were those darn Elco trucks. They were a pain in the winter, and they even were a problem for us. And I'll tell you about that part of the story because they did serve well on the Soo Line. In 2001, the Wisconsin Central was purchased by the Canadian National, and they retired these engines. And one of them was donated by the good fortune to us at the Lake Superior Railroad Museum, thanks to Gordon Trapton from CN that saw to the fact that this one was preserved. But we had the same problem the Soo Line did, and it was those darn Elco trucks. We had a short circuit in one of the traction motors, and it burned up. It was the second one on this unit to do that. Thanks to our good friends at Independent Locomotive Services in Bethel, they were able to put new traction motors on the engine, and that was a great plus. The engine had to leave property to do that, and again, that's where the BNSF came in. Here's the problem. Try to find an Elco traction motor. They're as rare as Elcos themselves, and to find one, we went to Larry's Truck and Electric, and he was kind enough to help us out and get us one for replacement. But now we think we fixed the problem that caused the engine to have those fires in the traction motor. And now that this is back on property, you're going to see it out on the North Shore Scenic Railroad on some very scenic rides. A quick side note, we've got this 700 here, but you can have one of your own. It's a very popular model in G scale. Outside here in the Lake Superior Railroad Museum, it's a beautiful sunny day. It may not be sunny where you are, and you may be on the couch, but hopefully we'll all be outside soon. In the meantime, you know what you have to do, right? And you're doing it. So I thank you for washing your hands, covering your coughs, don't touch your face. Social distancing is important, just like staying home if you're sick. And in the meantime, thanks for taking care of each other.